Welcome to the Uncensored Self Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Gillen, and on this show, ambitious women learn how to create a life they're obsessed with, without the hustle, without the grind, without torturing ourselves, and without following anybody else's rules. This podcast is all about creating our own rules, owning our identity as creator, and hitting every single goal we set for ourselves. Together, we're redefining success on our terms and building lives that look as good as they feel. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I'm so excited to talk about learning to love now. And this is probably such a different take on intentional reality creation, manifestation, universal law, whatever it is, because most of us, myself included, got into this work because there was something in our lives we wanted to change, right? Like for me, I wanted to manifest money. I was in a place in my life where I thought more money would solve my problems. I wanted to manifest more money. I wanted to manifest more clients. I wanted to manifest more followers. I wanted to manifest weight loss. I wanted all these things because I thought maybe, just maybe, if I achieved all of those things, I might actually be happy. But what I learned, I got so much more than I bargained for, I imagine you are as well, is that that's actually not the point. Who knew that the point of this beautiful, miraculous, incredible life that we are living was not simply to achieve more, amass more, do more, work harder, or any of those things, but simply was to experience this life, to love this life, to grow and change. And this may not resonate with you yet. And you're listening to it, so it resonates a little bit, but this is something that's probably going to be more advanced. And what I mean more advanced is you might not be brand new to this work, because if you're brand new to this work, you're still trying to figure out, like, is it even fucking true that I'm the creator of my reality? But if you've been doing this work for a while, maybe you've called in a couple of things, but your life still hasn't changed dramatically, you may resonate with this a little bit more, because this is the self-love part of the journey. This is the time is made up part of the journey. This is the, literally it is just you in here part of the journey. This is where we get a little bit more woo, a little bit more esoteric, but it's also a really important conversation, because I think, at least for me, this is what was missing as far as learning to love now and creating what I actually want to create, because the journey's inside out, not outside in. Right. And so what I mean by that is really the point here is not just to change the outside world so that we feel good on the inside. The point is to change the inside world so that the outside matches that. And we've heard that. But at the same time, we're like, yeah, but I just need the money. But yeah, but I just need the clients. But yeah. If I could just get this listing, it would be fine. And yeah. Once I get that commission check, I'll do it. Right. But what we're doing here, and what is actually possibly perpetuating why you're not calling in what you want, is because of the illusion of fixing your life through external action. And what this looks like, again, is just change the circumstances. If the business just looked different, if the economy was different, if the world was different, if the money was different, if I were different, I would feel better. And we have been taught, we live in a world that has taught us that we have to go do something to get different results. So if the business isn't working, we got to change our strategies. Maybe we need to change social media platforms. Maybe we need to switch brokerages. Maybe we just need to change the market. Maybe we need to go after the luxury market instead of, the first-time home buyer market, whatever that looks like, right? If our relationships aren't working, we blame the other person, right? We need them to change. We need them to be different. If our money isn't working, if we're not making as much money as we want, we just need to work harder, grind more, struggle more. Right? But none of that actually fixes anything. And I know that you know that because you're here, right? I know for sure. I learned that the hard way. Changing things in the outside world doesn't actually fix anything, because your external reality is just a mirror of what is happening inside of you. So inside, if you constantly feel like you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you don't know enough, you have to achieve A, B, C, X, Y, Z before you can have this or that, or whatever the case may be, right? You think that if you could just fix that, it would all be better. But that's not true. It's simply not true, because if you feel stressed, anxious, and unworthy on the inside, your external world is always going to change that, even if you have more money, even if you have more clients, even if something changes, right? Because if the inside of you feels like I'm not good enough, that's always going to be reflected back to you. If the inside of you feels like, I'm just simply not smart enough, that's always going to be reflected back to you. And that is what has to happen. And so that's why learning to love now changes everything. Because again, if we can learn to love now, what's happening now, everywhere around us now, we would vibrate at a different frequency. We would vibrate at a frequency of love, of abundance, of magic, of, oh my God, this is so amazing, right? Because we would love now. But the thing is we don't love now. We don't love now at all. Now isn't good enough. Now is showing me how I'm so not complete and not whole and not worthy. So I don't like now. So I'm fighting now. I'm resisting now. Last week's show was all about resistance and contrast, or maybe that was 2 weeks ago, right? Depending on when we're recording and when we're listening, right? But the truth of the matter is that resistance to now, right? That resistance to it's not going the way that I want it to is actually, again, perpetuating the problem. And maybe you've heard before, and I know that I've said this before, but the truth of the matter is the only moment that we have is now. right? Like that's it. The past, it's gone. The future, it's not here yet. And even when you get to it, it's still going to be now. And I know this sounds esoteric as fuck, so still just stick with me. But really think about it. You are worried about something that's going to happen later today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, right? But the truth of the matter is that the only time that you can actually fix next week, next month, next year, whatever, is right now. It is literally the only moment you have. So if you're sitting here in this moment, resistant of what is, if you're unhappy now, you're going to be unhappy later because what you put out, you get back, right? That's the universal law of attraction. Well, there's the law of vibration and the law of attraction. I've talked about both of those, right? But you think once I arrive to that moment in the future, once I arrive there, if I just suffer enough now, I'm going to arrive to this moment in the future where it's all going to be miraculous and amazing and incredible. And again, it's that resistance to now that keeps you stuck because I think there's a few things happening here. First is we don't actually trust that we're the ones creating our reality. I think, again, and I said this in the first episode, and I may say this over and over and over again, that the hardest part of this is actually believing that it's that easy. Because again, our entire life has taught us that it's not. So we don't trust that we're the ones creating our reality. And we don't trust that what we said we wanted is actually going to show up. So we sit here in this present moment and we think about it and we stress about it and we worry about it. And we try to make all the changes we can outside of us so that we can fix that. Right. But when we learn to trust that we're actually the ones creating our reality and the only time to create it is now, that's when things will start to shift. Right. But again, we think if we force the external world to change, then we'll finally be happy. And this was so my story, guys. Like there's no judgment in this at all. I just think it's so important because I honestly thought that, like, if I could just hit this revenue mark, if I could just get, this credit card paid off, if I could just get to the point where I can have X number of dollars in savings, then I'll slow down, right? Then I'll slow down. Then I'll feel good. Then I'll be able to be present with the kids. Then I'll be able to do whatever it is I've been trying to do, right? Whatever story I was telling myself at the time. And that moment never came. The money came. Y'all have heard that story before. The money came and I wasn't happy. In fact, I was more unhappy because the truth of the matter was I thought the outside world was going to, once the outside world looked a certain way, I would feel okay. And that just simply wasn't it. And so now what I work so much with my clients is to stop resisting what has or hasn't happened in the future and learn to be here now and to manage your energy now and to love what is around you now, because regardless of how shitty your circumstances are right now, and I mean, you could be knocking on the door of like your car being repoed. I don't know if you guys listened to my interview with Courtney Benson. It was fucking amazing, but she talks about legitimately her Mercedes got repossessed. Okay. So you could be knocking at that moment and still find something in the now to love, to appreciate. And you might not be thinking like, gosh, that's not true. Like that's the worst thing that could ever happen. And really, guys, the worst thing that ever happens is we die. And spoiler alert, we're all going to. So the worst thing that could happen, honestly, truthfully, is to die. And that is inevitable. So what the fuck are we so worried about? Like when you say it like that, it sounds so silly. I'm like sitting here recording this and I'm like, well, I could just stop now. I could just stop now because that's the truth of the matter. Because so much of what we are afraid of actually happening, our car being repossessed, failing in our business, not hitting our goal, not being seen as good enough, somebody discovering we don't know what the fuck we're talking about, is all about making us feel better, right? Because if you find it's not actually the fact that the car got repossessed, right? It's the fact that if somebody else found out my car got repoed, they may think something about me, right? If I don't hit this revenue goal, then somebody else may think something about me, or I may think something about me, right? Like that's really what's happening here. But the truth of the matter is the worst case scenario is that you die, and we're all going to die anyway. So we might as well have a good fucking time while we're here and stop trying to take it all so seriously. If you can find something to love in every single moment in your life, right fucking now, and in the next moment, 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 you will change your life in a way that you could not possibly imagine. And like I said, the first thing that we have to believe is that we are the creator of our reality and that this shit works. Because if you don't believe that, then you're always going to have a hard time doing this. But if you can get into that energy, get into the energy of I am the one creating this. And the only moment of which I have to create is this moment right here, right now. What am I creating? What am I creating? Because if you're listening to this with anxiety, stress, overwhelm, frustration, not good enough, unworthiness, then that is all that you can possibly get back. It's law. It is law. So every single moment you have an opportunity to change your energy, and every opportunity that you have to change your energy is an opportunity to change the trajectory of your life, like your entire fucking life, not just your day, but your life. If you can string together enough right here, right now, moments where you feel good, where you feel aligned, where you feel excited, when you feel love, when you feel appreciation, when you feel gratitude, if you can align up enough of those moments, your life will change. Again, the reason why we don't do this is because we're waiting for the outside world to change. Once the bank account gets there, then, right? Once the business gets there, then. Once I do this, then. And that is backwards. So learning to love now, I actually wrote down a note. I got to find it. A while ago, I wrote this down and it felt cheesy at the time. I've never shared it. I can't believe I just like it just came through. Share this. And it said, if you find the perfection in each moment will be perfect. I'm going to say that for you again. Find the perfection in each moment, and then each moment will be perfect. Because when you're finding the perfection in the moment, that moment is perfect, but it also puts out whatever energy of perfect is for you, that energy. And then again, the more of those moments that you string together, the more of that energy you put out, the more of that energy you get back. Let me explain to you. This kind of feels a little esoteric, but I feel guided to go here. Is the reason why you feel all over the map, like you have high highs and low lows, and some things are amazing and some things are shit, right? The reason why all of that is happening for you is because that's what's going on in your head, right? Like you wake up in the morning and you can maybe work your mind into alignment and feeling good and everything. And then all of a sudden you get this email and that shit happens and this thing happens and this thing happens. And then all of a sudden you're back down to stress and overwhelm and frustration, which is why there's moments of your life that are high, right? Because there are parts of your day, there's parts of your energy that you send out that are high, right? But then also the lows happen because you allow that to happen. Our goal is to get to the point where there aren't as many low lows because you stop reacting to those things because you realize that your reaction to those things, again, just creates an energy of something unfavorable and creates more unfavorable circumstances. So this is why the importance of loving what is happening right now, even when it's not great. Because it may not be that thing. You might get that email, right? That deal is falling apart and it's not going to make it to the closing table. Or that client who said yes actually is not going to move forward. Or you thought you were getting a tax return and now you're getting, a bill. That's not true for any of my entrepreneur friends, but you know what I'm saying, right? You can choose to react to that. You can choose to tell a story. You can choose to tell how shitty it is and how terrible it is and how, oh my God, I'm never going to hit my goals. But that's going to be the energy that you put out. So instead, you can look at that moment, not react to it, and just say, I wonder what the lesson is in this, right? Or I wonder what this is preparing me for. Or this must be unfolding for my benefit in some way, shape, or form because I am the creator of my reality. And so shitty things don't happen to me. So whatever is happening here cannot possibly be shitty. Let me find the perfection in this moment. Let me find a way to love this now. What am I learning now? And when we can fall in love with that and stop reacting, that is when the outside circumstances change. The problem is that we react. We get the email and we get mad. Right? We get the text message and we get pissed off. Our spouse is a dick for some reason, and then we're reacting to that. And what's also really interesting here, and again, y'all know, you've learned by now that these are pretty intuitively guided. So as much as my outline sounds amazing at the beginning, I never stay there. But what's coming through to share with you guys now is you don't have to be in a positive energy about the thing that you want to change. So let me give you an example. So say, for instance, you want to grow the business, right? And the feeling that you have determined, the feeling of your business at wherever it is you want it to be feels exciting and it feels fun and it feels just fucking amazing. And you can get to that feeling in your body and you can feel it. And, oh, it's so good. You don't have to find a business example to feel that way. You can find any example to feel that way. And so what I mean by that is if that feeling I've shared before, like my feeling of abundance is on a boat, right? My feeling of abundance is on a boat. It has nothing to do with my bank account. It has nothing to do with it. So when I think of feeling abundant, I don't think about my bank account. I think about being on a boat. I think about being outside. I think about the sun in my face. I think about hiking. I think about how fucking much I love my clients and how good I am at what I do. I don't think about my bank account to feel abundant. I think about what abundance feels like, right? When I think of happiness and wanting to be happy, right? Wanting to be happy for me, like happiness is being with my kids. It's being with my families. It's adventures. It's experiences. It's time together. It's watching my kids learn. It's watching my kids play sports, right? Like, that's what feels good. So I can feel good watching my kids play sports, and that good energy is going to trickle into the next moment and the next moment and the next moment and the next moment, right? So I think so often people are like, oh, my issue is I have a not good enough issue, so I have to sit here all of the time and feel good about myself. I mean, yes, that's amazing. That's where we want to get. But if whatever you're trying to feel, like, if you can find that feeling in other examples, you can. And so I think, again, this is some people teach this differently where they're like, well, you have to improve your relationship with money if you want a different relationship with money, right? You have to work on. And yes, and right, I'm trying to decide how I want to word this. Yes, and if you would stop thinking you had a problem with money and instead focus on feeling abundant, your money issue would dissolve itself. So what I mean is, like, you don't have to go to work on your money issues. Your bank account are telling you what your money issues are, right? But if right now, in learning to love right now, you can find abundance right now in this moment, regardless of your bank balance, you don't have to fix your relationship with money. You just have to feel abundant in the moment. You have to find abundance in this moment. Right? Maybe it's opening your refrigerator and seeing that there's an abundance of food in it. It's going into your closet and realizing you have an abundance of clothes or an abundance of shoes, right? Like, It's driving through your neighborhood and realizing that you're looking at millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of real estate every single day, right? Like there are ways to find abundance that don't have to go with working on your money. And again, I think this is where people get stuck, is because they are constantly focused on the area of their life that they want to change, thinking, I don't like this, instead of looking at their entire life and thinking, holy shit, look how amazing this life is. That is what is learning to love now. Sure, I want my bank account to balance to be bigger, and I'm the creator of my reality, and you bet your fucking ass I'm going to make that happen. But in the meantime, I'm going to love what I have now. I'm going to love the abundance of clothes in the closet. I'm going to love the abundance of shoes. I'm going to love the abundance of food. I'm going to love the safety of driving this car that's not my favorite, like whatever it is, right? But finding a way to love what is happening right here, right now, and finding those moments is what's going to shift your energy. And when you can shift your energy and start to build momentum in that, is when the outside world starts to shift. But is in finding in the moment an excuse to feel however you think you're going to feel when you have the thing. One of my favorite thoughts to think is like, I fucking did it. Like to me, that is the, like I have a big goal. I know what it is. And when I visualize it, the feeling is like, oh my gosh, I fucking did it. I did it. I did it. I did it. I did. Like I can feel it in my body right now. As soon as the I did it's come together, like my energy starts to bubble and I can feel it. And it's so much fun. But I can feel that about anything. I can feel that like checking all the shit off my to-do list. I can feel that in watching my kids when I'm recording this is right after Davis's birthday, and we had his birthday party this weekend, and he wanted to go roller skating, and he took his friends, and his friends were not great roller skaters. And it was so cute, like watching him roller skate with his friends and encourage his friends and get out there and be good at something. And, like, my gosh, how amazing is that? Like when I just focus on being in the present moment, and what is fucking amazing about the present moment, which is right. Like, and I roller skated, busted my ass in front of everybody. And that was fine because my kids were excited and they were happy that I was out there and I was playing with them and I was enjoying the moment with them. And I was watching these kids learn how to skate and watching these 4 little 8-year-old boys with their little trainers figure it out. Like it was so much fun. Like to me, I just fucking loved that moment. And that moment had nothing to do with anything other than being in the moment. That was a learning to love now moment. And if you can find that in every moment, in the silly things, washing conditioner out of your kid's hair, because gosh, I'm this close, guys. I'm this close in parenting to like be able to be like, go take a shower, right? But Georgia still needs help getting the soap out of her hair, right? So I have to go do that. But I find the moments, I find a way to love that moment. There's going to come a time when she doesn't need me. And as much as I wish she could do it, I'm going to be sad when she doesn't need me, right? And that she trusts me so much to help her not get soap in her eyes, right? And like wrapping her up in a towel and hugging her and loving her and smelling her when she's clean and lovely and amazing. And right? Like that's learning to love now. Driving your car down the road, listening to your favorite songs, singing at the top of your lungs is learning to love now. Having a cup of coffee with a girlfriend and having a fun conversation is learning to love now, right? When you learn to find just bliss in the stupid moments, in the day-to-day moments that you are so fucking stressed out, you're not even paying attention to, is when your life will change. The problem is you're not in the now. You're 3 months in the future worried about not fucking making payroll, or you're 3 months into the future worrying about what your fucking pipeline looks like and how you don't have enough deals in the pipeline. And you're missing the opportunity to love now. You're missing the opportunity to change those results. Because if you're worried about the results 3 months from now, I can fucking promise you that those results 3 months from now are not going to be what you want them to be until you learn to love the now. And I'm seeing this, I'm going to tell you a little bit with my clients. They're fucking killing it right now. But then they're all like, oh shit, what happens next? Right? And the antidote to all of this is gratitude. Right? That's ultimately what we're talking about here. Learning to love now is learning to be grateful for what you fucking have, not needing the outside world for you to change. I'm reading my kids the books, the Abraham Hicks books, the Sarah books. And from what I understand, the story that I heard is that if you don't know Abraham Hicks, well, Esther Hicks is a woman who channels a non-physical entity called Abraham. Guys, we're bringing all the woo out today. Somebody even said on one of my workshops, she was like, I like that you're not too woo. And like, here we are. Let's talk about channeled entity. It's a channeled entity. And Esther channels Abraham. Oh, and I totally just let my train of thought. I'm going to go back. See, guys, this is it. Because there's a part of me at one point in time who I would have edited this part out of the podcast, right? I would have been like, oh, well, it's not good enough. And I'm like, nope, there's something happening in there and I'm going to come back to it and it's going to be good. But for right now, we're really going to focus on loving the now. That's what we're talking about. Loving the now is being in this moment right here, right now, instead of worrying about what happens, because, what we create moment by moment, or what we focus on moment by moment, is actually how our life unfolds. Okay. It's how our life unfolds. So we can't fix the external world, right? The external reality is merely a mirror of what's happening inside of us. And when we can get into this moment right here, right now, and focus on the good that we have, the good that is coming, the good that is here now, then we're just going to create more good, right? I want to give you guys, and tell you something, come back to my notes, right? And like, well, if I'm losing my train of thought, it's time to go back to my notes. Think about how many times you finally achieved something you wanted. Like you set a big fucking goal for yourself and you hit it, and it didn't even bat an eye, right? Didn't even bat an eye. Didn't even take time to celebrate it. We're just like, okay, cool, on to the next one. Okay, cool, on to the next. What am I going to do next? And you don't even take the time to celebrate it, right? Have you done that before? I know I sure as hell have. I know most of my clients have, right? You hit the goal and you don't even take the time to realize that there was a time in my life when I prayed for this. There was a time in my life when I begged for this. There was a time in my life that if this achievement had happened, that I would have been fucking floored. And here I am as the ungrateful asshole that I am, not even recognizing the greatness that is my life. And I don't mean to call you an ungrateful asshole. That's not very nice. But I mean, to myself, I'm like, gosh, what is wrong with you? Like when I was at my lowest, I mean, I don't know if it's really my lowest, but when I was feeling the most out of control in my life, I couldn't find gratitude despite living in a beautiful home, in having an incredible partner and beautiful children and clients whom I love and adore and friends who are just amazing and incredible. I couldn't find that gratitude because I couldn't be here now. All I was worried about was that I had to change the outside world. I did not like where I was and I had to change it. And I was never present. I was never present because I was so worried about I got to fix tomorrow. And as long as you're worried about trying to fix tomorrow, there will always be a problem to fix tomorrow. Instead of focusing on the idea that right here, right now, if I can find something to love, if I can find something to enjoy, if I can find something to celebrate, if I can find something to appreciate, if I can find something to just say, oh my God, I think that's just so amazing, that the more of those moments will come together and come together and come together. Coming back to my Abraham idea, there it is. She talks about 68 seconds. 68 seconds is what it takes to really change your energy, right? Really change your energy. If you can hold the identity, hold the energy of whatever it is that you want to feel, and you can hold that for 68 seconds. Again, I know what like my I fucking did it energy is. Like I know what that feels like. And if I can hold it for 68 seconds, it now has enough momentum for the law of attraction to start working with you, right? So 68 seconds, if you can sit there for just over a minute and hold on to that energy of whatever it is, abundance, love, joy, fulfillment, enough, happiness. I fucking did it. If you can hold it for 68 seconds, you have momentum going. And then in the next moment, and then in the next moment, and then in the next moment, and then in the next moment. But you have got to learn to love what's happening right now, even if it is not perfect. And I used to be afraid of doing this because if I love now, am I not going to get what I want next? Am I confusing the universe? God, it's too smart. You can't fool the universe. You can't fool God, right? Like you're never talking to yourself up there in your head. The universe, God knows exactly what you want all of the time. So it's okay to feel like $1 million now, even if you don't have $1 million, because actually all you're telling the universe at that point, it's not that you're telling the universe, you have to remind it what you want. It's telling the universe, I believe it's fucking coming. But you can feel like $1 million when you don't have $1 million. That is such a fucking level of commitment and trust of the energy that you're putting out, that energy of commitment and trust. Like, holy wow, what that brings back to you, right? It's so good. It's so, so, so good. I think the reason that we hate the present moment or we fight the present moment so much is because we don't trust that we can change it. We don't trust ourselves to create something different. We don't trust that we're the ones actually driving. So we try to manipulate the external world instead. But you're always creating. And so the most powerful thing you can do is learn to love the moment. Not because it's perfect, but because it's where your power lies. So when you find the perfection in each moment, again, that's what I said. Each moment will be perfect. So let's talk about some practical ways to start loving now, and then I'll wrap up for you today. Okay, first and foremost, reconnect with yourself, right? You have done some really fucking amazing things in your life. You just don't give yourself any credit for them. You just don't give yourself any credit. You don't think about everything you've done up to this point. All you can think about is what you don't have now. So if you want to start loving now, look at the past, the things that you've overcome, the things that you've created, the proof of your power. Because every single motherfucking dollar you've made, you created. Every single amazing moment in your life, you created it. Those beautiful children of yours, you created that. Those incredible clients who loved you and trust you, you created that. That relationship that you're in, if it's a good one, you created that, right? You're not behind. You're not off track. You're exactly where you're meant to be based on what your energy will allow you to have. And so if you can reconnect to that, look at all the amazing things that you've done, even if it's as simple as sitting in your living room and being like, dude, we pay the fucking mortgage on this house every month, right? That is an opportunity to love what is happening now. Another great way to do this is see circumstances as neutral. And this is one that comes from Brooke Castillo from my life coach school friends. If you guys have, I don't know, actually I heard she stopped producing her podcast. I stopped following her years ago. But one of the things that she taught that I thought was so powerful is that circumstances are neutral, meaning your bank account balance has zero meaning until you give it meaning. The weight on the scale has zero meaning until you give it meaning. The number of clients that you have right now have zero meaning. Your job title, zero meaning. Your friendships, whether you have them or not, your marriage, whether it's healthy or not, zero meaning until you give it meaning. So if something feels bad, it's because the meaning, the story that you're telling, the meaning that you have attached to it. So when we can start to see circumstances just as they are, which is, oh, wow, there's X number of dollars in my bank account, or, oh, wow, I have Y number of clients, instead of telling yourself this means that I'm not good enough and I'm never going to have more and I'm never going to get what I want, which is what most of us do. We just see it as neutral. It's just a circumstance. It's just a circumstance. And the story you want to give it is the story that's going to play out. Another one is practicing the feeling the way you want to feel now. And that's what I was talking about, the 68-second thing, right? Because, and this is another one that I learned from Abraham, is the idea that like anything that you want in life, you want it because you think you're going to feel better when you get it, right? You think you're going to feel better when your relationship is better, your health is better, your bank account is better, your business is better, your career is better, you're going to feel better. You're not, but that's what you think is going to happen. So when we can practice the feeling, right? What I was talking about, that I did it feeling, the more that you can practice that, the more you can reconnect and learn to love now, right? And then stop playing the waiting and wanting game, right? You're not waiting for success. You're not waiting for happiness. You're not waiting for freedom. You can have it now. So instead of saying, when the business looks like this, I'll be happy, or when my body looks like this, I'll be happy, decide I'll be happy now, and then the business will come in, and then the weight will fall off, and then my relationship will improve, right? Because you can want more while still being fulfilled in this moment. It's like one foot in each place, right? I was talking to my clients about this the other day. It's 1 foot in desire and 1 foot in gratitude. Gratitude, desire, desire, gratitude, gratitude, desire, desire, gratitude, right? But here's the deal, guys. You're the one creating your reality. And learning to love now isn't settling. It's about stepping into your power. It's that trusting that you're the creator of your reality, that nothing is missing. There's nothing that you're missing. You're not missing anything. You're not behind. You're not off track. You're exactly where you need to be to get to where it is you want to go. And the moment that you stop resisting this moment, you make space for what's next. Your life doesn't change when you get what you want. Your life changes when you decide to love where you are. I love you guys. I think you're amazing. I'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning in to the Uncensored Self Podcast. If you're walking away with a new perspective, some fresh inspiration, or the push you needed to show up as your uncensored self, I'd love to hear about it. Share this episode, leave a review, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Remember, success isn't about following somebody else's rules. It's about owning who you are, deciding what you want, and going after it unapologetically. Until next time, keep leading, keep creating, and stay uncensored.